After finishing my watch of the last episode, I was left with this nagging feeling that I don't know how to explain. I felt betrayed. Yes, that's the word. Betrayed. And I assume you feel that way too. That's why you're here. And by watching me now, I'm assuming also that you have already finished the final episode of the show. So take a seat, let us inhale some large doses of copium and fix the holes of the finale to give birth to what could have been. These will be my thoughts only, and you are welcome to agree or disagree with any of it. I will still love you regardless. Mwah. The goal of today's video is not to rewrite the whole episode from scratch. I don't have the creativity or the resources for that. Instead, our goal is to fix some lacking parts and add some substance to others, and point out the inconsistencies here and there. But the overall story should play out the same as the original. But we will expand more on the ending and the fate of the abstractions. More on that in a minute. First of all, episode 9 is supposed to be the episode of answers. It is the final piece of the puzzle. There is no more digital circus after it. And yet, it introduces more vague questions and no concrete resolutions to the threads that were built up for over 8 episodes until now. Or if they did answer them, the execution was poor. I'm writing this after watching the theatrical release and haven't seen the YouTube version yet, but I assume it's the same, minus the episode 8 portion that was stitched in there to call the whole thing a movie. But I will edit in what needs editing after watching the YouTube version. I speak for everyone when I say episode 9 felt rushed, underbaked, and presented more questions than answers. How did Caine survive the deletion? Why did he spawn in the void? Where is Bubble? Is he or is he not the blue AI? Why abstract Jax without any visuals, music, or anything after 8 episodes of build-up? The characters learn how to control the conjuring powers and whatnot, but they do nothing cool with it at all. They just replace some floor tiles. I looked online and I couldn't find the actual reason of this rush in production of episode 9. Did they have to release it this year? And in theaters nonetheless? Couldn't they let it bake for a few more months? Maybe look at it with fresh eyes, reflect on it. Did Gooseworks really just want to end the series and get it over with? So she and her team can move on to new projects? That can't be just it, right? There has to be something more. Am I missing something? They needed at least one more episode to tie everything together with an acceptable pacing. Alright, okay, let's get into it.
Scratch was trying to make a brain scanner.
That means...
I know what it means.
In this part, they should add the following sentence to this scene, said by Ragatha or anyone other than Kinger. Wait, that means we are... ... Then Jax cuts in and everything plays out as it did in the original. With this addition, the viewer will understand on the spot that the characters are mind scan files and not real people. Yes, I know it might be unnecessary. It might have been obvious to me and you that the cast are now scanned files running on a machine, but I swear to you, I swear, there are people out there, like my friend, who still missed the point and was like, oh, so the Scratch guy made the mind-scanning headsets that everyone is hooked on to right now? Bruh, no, they are not hooked on currently. They are just files in the... Ugh. The Ragatha and Pomni scene was cute at heart. A nice nod back to episode 1 when Pomni was a fresh egg and Ragatha showed her D-Way. Do you know D-Way, Pomni? But I'm sorry, the rest of this shit was way too dragged out. Way too long. Why did we have to watch them walk away from each other for like 30 seconds? How did this get past screenings and quality control or whatever they do in animation studios these days? It would have been significantly cooler to show flashbacks of their friendship from earlier episodes in the background behind them during the hug scene, and then cut 80% of the walking away scenes, you know? The conjuring parts with Kinger were fun. I just wish we saw the characters use this ability more often in the show, in creative and wacky ways. Maybe conjure a dark room together for the abstracted Jax instead of the pillow forts we had in the original. Maybe conjure a cool contraption or a tool to pull Pomni out and away from the abstracted Jax scene here instead of the comical daisy chain Zubul parts. Or maybe we could have had Gangle mastered this ability and power faster than everybody else because she is an artist and she has vivid imaginations and whatnot, you know? Making her actually finally useful instead of crying for nothing all the time. Sorry, not sorry. I thought she already had a character development across 8 episodes, but no. Let's forget all that and let's reset her back to her episode 1 Gangle self. For no fucking reason. Alright, I decided from now on, in my own mind, this is the canon ending of Gangle. Mastering the conjuring power and creating some cool 3D shit. We arrived to Jax's abstraction. Oh boy. It was built up for 8 episodes over years. The tension, the drama, the cool trippy animation dream thingy. Only for the purple bunny to abstract instantly off screen? Brother, no! I understand that abstraction in this show represents suicide in real life, and people who go through that normally do it in secluded, isolated places, and not in front of people. But this is a show. A work of fiction. The last episode. Show us. Answer the question that plagued us for years. How does the abstraction process actually look like? Give us an artistic representation of it. Maybe something similar to the trippy dream that Jax had in episode 7.
But Veryoosh, it has been done and shown in episode 7. Doing it again would be redundant, no?
Okay, touché, fine. Maybe then make it a quick burst of vague images with chilling sound effects. A sequence of 4 seconds or less. Just give us anything. There's this fantastic fan-made Jax abstraction concept music video thingy by the YouTube channel Lyra Firel? Sorry if I butchered your name. I assume most of you have seen it already. I love that video so much. Simple basic animations with a great choice of music made me feel things that episode 9 didn't even come close to.
My body's on the line now. I can't fight this time now.
I can't play the whole thing here because the song is copyrighted, but the summary of it is Jax is in his bed almost abstracting peacefully, but Pomni decides to barge in and speak with him. And thank God she did that when she did, because she came in at the right moment as he started the process of abstracting. She yells out to the others to come in here fast. The song goes nicely with the visuals of Jax going towards the light, but the touch of Pomni's hand and the others with her manages to pull Jax Reno back to life. A masterpiece made with static frames, basic puppet animations, and a good song. That's it. Couldn't Glitch do something like that? Not these exact events, of course. Something basic like that, but much darker, would have been a fantastic addition leading to the Jax abstraction scene, while giving us some visuals to feast our eyes upon. Why did it happen off screen? I don't get it. The shock value? Time restraints? Deadlines? I feel betrayed. Yeah, I feel betrayed after investing my love in this show since 2023. In this scene, it would have been a great chance to include the Kinger voice line from previous episodes. I think it was episode 3, when he talked about Queenie.
The darkness seemed to calm her down a bit.
The darkness seemed to calm her down. This would remind the viewers how Pomni thought of bringing the abstracted Jax to darkness, and it would give more context to people who came to watch this episode in theaters as a movie who didn't watch all the episodes before or don't remember everything that happened in them, you know? Now, what's the deal with Gangle, huh? I don't get her.
I'm sorry.
Sorry? Sorry for what?
For what?
Yes, Zubul, exactly! Sorry for not befriending Jax more to help his mental? Sis, we solved your weak-ass mental plot point episodes ago. Why are we back here now? Get yourself together, woman, and start conjuring. You're powerful. It is my new headcanon now, I don't care. The scenes inside Jax's mind are fine. I wouldn't change much in them, but I would like to see clarification on why did the Jaxes evaporate. Was this to signify that he's fully abstracted now and he's losing these parts of himself? Was their disappearance only a tool to progress the story forward towards the piano Jax, who disappeared too anyway? They could have still done all of that with them around. Yes, this is a nitpick, but as a lore enjoyer, I'd like to see reason and purpose behind decisions. Just like putting a pile of unused flashbangs conveniently in the hallway. I love Kaufmo's voice, actually.
I'm just mad it was you instead of me. We were friends,
but...
Unexpected, but pleasantly deep. And I liked his overall character more than I thought I would. Chill dude. The bow scene on Jax's head here, I don't understand it. Maybe I'm dense? But there are plenty of visually readable or legible moves to show acceptance. A hug, a caress on the cheek, a pat on the shoulder, the head, the back. But the bow? Is it intended to show him as the vulnerable soul that he is right now? Is Ribbit giving him a part of herself to carry with him, just like she now carries his secret with her? Am I missing something? Here, we see the moment where Gangle spawns into the circus. But why did it happen now and not earlier or later? If Caine had access to all the mind files at once, like we see later in the episode, why didn't everyone join or get created together all at once? Why the time gaps? Why did it take years to materialize Pomni as the last one, if Caine had her file this whole time? And this of course applies to everyone else, not just Pomni and Gangle. Did Caine need more data to encapsulate every mind file properly? Did he need time to decrypt the files for every individual? What is it? This is the last episode! No more room for guessing games. Just give us an answer or a clear hint. Glitch Productions. Ugh. Here, when and how did the colors come back to the circus exactly? Was that ever clarified? Right before we entered Jax's mind, the circus was pretty much somber and grey. And I assume that the mind space story events things happened in a matter of seconds or minutes for Pomni, as long as the hug lasted. You know how these things go. But when she got out, the colors are just back again? Just like that?
You expect me to believe that the others fixed the entire circus in those few minutes?
Was the grayness an artistic visualization just for us the viewers only? And the characters always did see the colors? Now we arrive to Caine. Caine, Cainerino, Cainethy. Where do I even begin? He was deleted, or quote unquote, killed. Why is he still around? How is he still around? Does being deleted mean spawning in the void? And if that's the case, shouldn't we see other deleted things? Like Gamigoo, Abel, other NPCs from other worlds floating around? Or at least a nod to this concept? Are these ambiguous, shiny, moving lines the deleted data or something? Was Caine put in the computer's recycling bin and he managed to escape it because he is so advanced and smart and cool? I wouldn't mind that explanation, honestly. The void being the empty space in the hard drive and not allocated yet. But they clarify none of this in the episode. Glitch Productions. If that was actually the intent behind the void and Caine's survival, explain it in the episode. Hint to it more properly, clearly. This is the last episode. How many times do I have to say this? The last one. We won't get any more story after this. Why are we still drowning in guesses and what ifs? Even a simple line, one line of Caine saying, "Ugh, they tried to delete me. Good thing they don't know how to check the recycling bin," or something like that, would be more than enough. It is a sentence in character for him and gives us much needed context to reach a reasonable conclusion. I don't mind Caine coming back. I like the guy. Just put some logic and reason behind it, you know? Bubble is there, by the way, if you look closely here, but he is empty and faceless. Why is he empty and faceless? And why was it so hard for me to notice his presence the first time I watched this? Is Bubble now faceless because he was the one who got deleted instead of Caine? He absorbed the hit somehow? Or was he Caine's negative thoughts all along? And now that Caine is calm, Bubble won't materialize? Was Bubble the blue AI all along that Caine rips off of his head at the later parts of the episode and tosses it into the void, just like that? Was Caine aware of the negative influence of the blue AI on him all this time, but he couldn't get himself to remove it in earlier episodes because he needed its powers? I understand that this is the AI that Caine consumed at the start of episode 8 and all of that, but what is this second mysterious artificial intelligence exactly? Does it have a name? Is it Bubble? Is it Abel? Is it just a random generic AI model with no depth to it? What is its full story? What did it offer Caine exactly, besides the mental instability? It can't end like this. What is it, Glitch Productions? I'm begging you. Why does Caine still have the power to do whatever he wants sometimes, and some other times he can't even fly and has to run, but then he can fly back again later, just fine? very unclear. The Wi-Fi that Caine had access to, why did it have depleting HP Wi-Fi bars? The name of it was Blue Street Cafe Free Wi-Fi, which means it's a public Wi-Fi belonging to a cafe shop named or located in Blue Street, which is a building that is fixed in place at the same location at all times, which means it is not moving away from Caine's PC, which means the depleting HP Wi-Fi bars make no sense. We can also conclude that it is not limited mobile data plan either. No one offers those for free in a cafe shop. So why the time limit? For plot purposes I understand, but give it some logical explanation. I know it's not a big deal for most people, but it bothered me so much. Why couldn't Caine just use the Wi-Fi permanently? He already had done the hard work and cracked the password in a way that was nicely visualized, with basic shapes and colors, of brute forcing his way through the firewall with trial and error. This whole Wi-Fi mistake thing could have easily been avoided and presented instead as a good attention to detail by simply changing the Wi-Fi name to something like Android or iPhone Hotspot Wi-Fi Sharing. Hotspot indicates that the source of the internet is a mobile phone that can move away from the PC that Caine is contained in, which explains the depleting Wi-Fi bars. It is simply moving out of range. That's it. Before we move away from this section, let's rewind back to Caine depressingly floating in the void. Here I would add the following change. Among the flying streams of data passing by Caine, when he opens his eyes here, in my version, he goes to touch them and examine them, giving us, the audience, a clear idea of what they are, either data packets or deleted worlds, NPCs, data from the internet, data from the past when he was contained, anything. But among all the legible code passing by him, he spots something unusual that he has never seen or sensed before. A data file that is in a weird format that he cannot ever access, no matter what he tries. For the sake of simplicity in this video, it's gonna be a simple glitchy grey orb, devoid of all color. He drifts towards it and examines it, but he can't seem to understand what it is. He cannot seem to connect to it. He can't access it as a file and can't interact with it in any way. He can just hold it. He begins to think to himself that his powers are failing him and slowly falls back into his depression and curls back into a ball, and the events continue from then on as they did in the original. Put a pin on all of this, we will come back to it at the end. Trust me, it's gonna make sense, and trust me, it's gonna be worth it. Here, I liked the mix of the past events with the current ones, and the parallels between them, of Caine brute forcing his way out of the enclosure he was locked in back in the days, and now he is doing the same thing to brute force his way over the firewalls of this Wi-Fi internet access point thing. I personally understood it from the first watch, but I also understand the confusion that other people had about all of it. Like my normie friend from earlier. Caine, knowing the way back to the circus and zooming towards it at max speed, was questionable. How does he know where to go? The void is like supposed to be big and massive and whatever. All of this can be simply explained if he was navigating the empty space of the hard drive, aka the void, until he reaches actual files, the circus. It is easy to clarify this, but do they do it in the show? Nuh-uh, that would be too easy and simple for our smart viewers. They have to work for the answers. Here, the scene with the moon was cute. I liked it. As for the rest of the events from here on out, I have some feelings about them, but I won't change anything for the sake of time, except for the fate of the abstractions. Hear me out. We already got a bittersweet ending. The realization that there is no escape. They are now nothing more than computer files, digital scanned minds of people that are living their lives in the real world as we speak right now. So all our characters can do is make the best with what they have. I don't know about you, but like... If I found out that I was just a copy and my original was living his best life out there, I would abstract on the spot. I don't comprehend how was this point brushed over just like that in the episode. I'm telling you, we need a whole additional episode for all of this shit. Especially for the whole idea that I'm about to suggest in a second. All I'm saying is, the resolution in the original is already sad enough. It already has this feeling of finality that can't be avoided. A sealed fate. Therefore, we don't need a duplicate of that somber feeling, aka keeping the abstractions permanent. Hear me out, hear me out! We won't heal or cure them, not all of them anyway, but we will hint at the possibility of it. and end the episode there. A glimmer of actual hope to make the place crowded and lively once more, even though we don't see it ourselves. And this is how I would go about it. A secret bonus, episode 10. Since we see now that Caine is on good terms with the cast, after the slideshow and the images in the original, I will add the following scene. Caine is just chilling with the gang in one random afternoon, and he's jiggling a weird item in his hands. It is the grey orb file thingy that he snatched in our version of the Void section earlier. One of the cast members, I don't know, let's just say Pomni, approaches him and asks, "What is that yellow thing you have there, Caine?" He answers, "I don't know. I've never seen a file like this before. I am upset." Wait, yellow? Pomni, my sweetie cutie patootie, you need to get your eyes checked. This is clearly grey. She replies, "Nah, I'm pretty sure that's yellow." Caine looks confused. Pomni calls in the others and asks them, "Guys, what color do you see here?" They all answer, "Yellow." Then Gangle adds,
Why is it emitting that weird sound?
Caine is in total confusion and replies, I don't hear anything." After some dialogues, events, and things happening here and there, they arrive to the realization that the file can only be seen and used by humans. That's why it appears colored and alive to them, but dead and grey and unusable to Caine. No artificial intelligence can ever touch its content, no matter how advanced. Later, a series of silly events leads to Kinger touching the mysterious file while Caine is holding it, and suddenly both Kinger and Caine are zapped with what feels like a jolt of electricity. And they pause for a second and look at each other and say in unison after a moment of silence, "Scratch!" Epic suspenseful music kicks in. The gang is confused. What's going on? What do you mean by Scratch? Isn't that the genius guy that caused the creation of this whole place? The one you told us about from before, Kinger? An ease stirs in the air. Kinger looks at Caine. They nod at each other, and Caine instantly flies off somewhere at high velocity speed. The two of them are acting strange. What could have happened to them after that zap? Everyone wonders. The gang are now actually getting worried, and they start demanding answers, but Kinger calms them down, and after a series of dialogues back and forth, he reveals that touching that file somehow allowed him to see into Caine's mind, and Caine saw into his. And they both saw, simultaneously, the contents of the mysterious file. It had some data belonging to the character Scratch. Kinger here also secretly realizes that he is still sane right now, even in the light. Whatever that zap did to him earlier, it fixed him. He no longer requires darkness. Kinger doesn't understand yet why did his touch unlock the contents of the file, but dialogues happen here and there with the gang back and forth. They arrive to the theory and the conclusion that the human touch is the missing key into unlocking that file. That's why Caine didn't see the yellow or couldn't hear its hum. The human touch is the key. Only humans can, or the mind-scanned versions of humans in this case. And they discover later that the contents of the file are actually the missing data or data from the files of Scratch. Their absence caused his abstraction. Therefore, in theory, putting them back in should revert him back to his original state. They can access the file now, yes, but only Caine has the power to move them and place them where they belong in the right place. That is why Caine couldn't cure abstraction before on his own, and he could only contain them. He didn't have the missing files to repair them with, and even if he did, he wouldn't be able to access them without the touch of the complex mind scan of a human. The gang is shook. This changes everything. They are now swimming in a swirling sea of mixed emotions, feelings of joy, curiosity, and questions. But before they could process any of it, Caine shows up hovering above them, and above him, a giant abstraction monster. One of many from the cellar. Epic music swells up. He holds the abstraction in the air with one hand and starts building a giant dome with the other. It is a safe place to contain the beast in the dark while keeping everyone around. It is dark in there, but with enough cinematic lighting for us, the audience, to see what's going on. Caine doesn't say a word, but you can see his eyes brimming with energy. A rare expression that we haven't seen on him before. He wants to make this work, to atone. We see digital tendrils coming out of his fingers like we saw in the flashback scene as he is trying to gain access to the full contents of the file. He confirms that it is indeed the missing data of Scratch and commences the attempt to put them back into the abstracted body in front of him. Caine enters his hacking trance, and while that is going on, we hear Kinger narrating some stuff here and there to add more depth and meaning to the story. Something along the lines of, it appears that abstraction happens when vital data is missing from someone's file. When deleted, be it on purpose or by accident, the vital data is encrypted in a special code that I have never seen anything like it before during my whole life as a programmer. A code that even Caine, the most advanced AI ever created, couldn't crack. But how and why did this data end up in the void of all places? And by this logic, are the others' files in the void too? Did Scratch program all of? But before he could finish, we hear a scream of agony. It is coming from Caine. It seems that somehow he lost access to the file and it is rejecting him. Not only that, but it is now seeping into him and corrupting him from within. Caine is now fighting off abstraction in front of everyone's eyes. If he actually dies for real this time, who knows what could happen to the entire circus? The flashing lights from the file makes the abstracted beast in the room irritated, and he starts panicking and attacking things around. The others are also panicking, except Pomni. She is focused on Caine, determined to be strong and live up to her character development across the series as the one who adapts super fast. And suddenly, she remembers something. Caine gained access only the first time when Kinger touched the thing. So maybe it had a time limit that ran out and the file is now locked again. That's the key. Human contact could fix this. But will it work with any human, or does it have to be Kinger specifically? There is no time to test or think. She lunges forward and runs to Caine. She makes it in time. She touches the file. In an instant, Caine's abstraction is regressing. The screaming stops. Panting, he turns to Pomni to thank her. But before he could, she is pushed back from the file with violent force, and the screaming Caine returns. Pomni's arm is now half abstracted, something similar to her nightmare from episode 2. She arrives to the conclusion that Kinger, for some reason, is the only one who's able to grant that access to Caine. So she yells at him from across the dome to rush to Caine's side. He nods and attempts to do so, but he is blocked by the giant abstraction monster in front of him. Things happen, and the rest of the group have now to work together to open a path for Kinger to get him to Caine, without being touched by the beast, because we all know what would result from that touch. We see all of them falling victims to the beast's attacks one by one, as they open a path for Kinger in an epic battle of sacrifice. We even see Gangle using her conjuring powers on her ribbon body to engulf the beast and hinder its movement, but eventually she too falls. They all fall and become a jumbled mess like Ragatha was in episode 1. The last one to fall is Pomni. Kinger stops in his tracks, considers helping her, but she yells at him that he must keep going. Caine can fix her, can fix them all. So no matter what happens, Kinger has to make it to Caine. He must move forward and never look back, no matter how painful it is. Kinger lets out a proud facial expression and mutters, "You really are strong, Pomni." And he resumes his run, using the conjuring powers in a cool, wacky way whenever possible, and eventually making it to the file, opening up the encryption, and things happen, cool visuals, cool music, and it all ends up with the file zipping itself into the body of the abstracted beast. The dust settles, and there he is, the Scratch, standing there, looking at his hands, fully sentient and normal. And cut. I would end the episode right here. We have enough answers, not full, but enough. We closed up some character threads like Gangle not being useless anymore and has mastery over the conjuring power thingy. Kinger is cured, no longer needs darkness. We see the cast actually using these conjuring powers in cool, fun ways, worthy of a finale or a secret bonus 10th episode at least. And now we have enough clues to piece together that Scratch, the creator of the technology behind the circus, is now with the crew. He could join forces with Caine and Kinger to help the cast understand everything about the circus. The way the files work, the void, the missing abstracted data, the abstractions, all of it. Even if we don't get to see it ourselves. We can piece it together because we have enough pieces. You hear that glitch? Enough clear pieces. It is not the best conclusion out there. The internet is far and wide and you can see others people's point of view, but I just wanted to share this and get it out of my chest, you know? At least with this ending, we can keep the fate of the abstracted as it is in the original, but we now have hope that they can be saved, which will make the circus crowded and full of life once more, eventually, even if we don't get to see it ourselves. And this also leaves an opening for an extra season, special episodes in the future, maybe, once Gooseworks gets over her burnout and she is ready to mutter the name of the show once more. All I'm saying is that Gooseworks would be a fool to let these characters be forgotten forever now that the Amazing Digital Circus is over. She can still milk some more juice off of them, and we don't mind drinking that juice, you know? Maybe that's just me. What are your thoughts about all of this? What are your thoughts about my character and my stupid YouTube channel with this one video? Like and subscribe. Mwah.